For Deep Sports Talk would like to thank its supporters, including PTU Clinic. Find out more about Bridgewater and Buzzards Bay's newest physical therapy clinic and what they have to offer at ptuclinic.com. Adria Restaurant and Banquet Facility located at 436 Oak Street in East Bridgewater. Visit adriarestaurant.net for more. Diesel Direct, your reliable source for fuel delivery. Log on to dieseldirect.com to get more information. And by the New England Knockouts, Brockton's brand new Frontier League baseball team. Get your tickets for the inaugural season today at knockoutsbaseball.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. And just like I just said, I just was a little bit too loud. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk. We are back live here after a little bit of a hiatus. I'm Dominic Damiano, joined by Havea Jet. Did I miss the vowel? Ahava Jet. I know I was going to mess that up. Along with Luz Cabral across from me and my good friend John Parris. One reason why I got him in here is we usually do the transition when a coach is leaving or a coach is coming in, and John's just a great guy in general. So it was an easy interview. We had to make sure he had the day free from babysitting his beautiful grandchild. So that worked out pretty good. So we want to thank John for coming on today. If you want to call in, you have a question for Coach Parris, it's 508-222-1320. And I'm kind of psyched I remembered that number.
Right?
You know what I mean? I didn't have to look at my phone.
I had to remember driving up here today. I'm like, well, it's been like 4 months. So I'm glad you're feeling better,
Thank
Dom. Dom had some major back surgery.
Three of them.
3 of them, yes, during all that time. And so we did have to take some time out so Dom can heal. So this is our first time back on the air.
Yep.
In 4 months, right?
At least 4 months, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of reruns.
And so you'll notice not only do we have a new intern from Taunton High School, Ahava Jet.
See, you got it right.
We're
She cheated.
so
She wrote it down.
excited.
She cheated.
We love having new people come in.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
Absolutely, and learning this experience.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, our friends before on the show, so Justin, our sports master Justin, is off in a new direction.
Yep.
And Casey has some personal issues going on with her family. I know she's listening. I hope she's listening. I miss her dearly. And I'm hoping she'll call in. So we'd love to have her back, calling in or be involved with us.
Right.
She is our social media guru.
Absolutely.
TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. And I am known as not only the co-host, but the paparazzi. So you'll be noticing I'll be taking a ton of pictures because I do post on the site as well as Facebook. And like Dom said, you can call in at 508-222-1320. We are at WARA Attleboro.
Yep. So Miss Jet was totally awesome. I just want to, when I first met this young lady at the high school, she was like zoned in out of all these students, and I thought that was so cool. For a minute, I thought I owed her money the way she was looking, standing over me, asking me about it. Thank God that wasn't the case. But so I'm going to start the interview off, and then you just go into your questions. I know we told Coach Parris a little bit. So he's, like you said, his answer might change. But for the people that don't know Coach Parris, he's been started with Coach Moan. He's affiliate. He's a teacher, collision tech. I'm not done yet. At Bristol Plymouth High School. And again, he's been there. I've had the pleasure to work with him for the last 10 years. I took the last 4 years off because of changed jobs and then this injury. So, Coach, for the people that of course they know you but don't know you, if you could just educate us a little bit when you got started, how it all played out to where we are today, and then I know Miss Jet has a bunch of questions she's going to drill you on. No, I'm only kidding about the drilling, but so let's start there. Let's start with that.
Absolutely. The journey for me with Bristol Plymouth actually started in 1974.
Wow.
I graduated from Bristol Plymouth in 1978. Went on to do to get my degree through UMass. played some football. I played football in high school. I played a little bit of football in college. And then I started a family and had an auto body shop for a long time. And in 1995, the administration of Bristol Plymouth, and I was always helping Bill on and off with the football team, even as far back as the '89 Super Bowl team. So they came and got me. In 1995, there was a transition going on in Bristol Plymouth, and everybody could read the papers back then, and a lot of stuff was going on. And so the new superintendent, Dr. John Avery, who I have to sincerely thank, he came out and got me and convinced me to come in there and take the collision program over. So I did it. And fortunately or unfortunately, when I showed up there, the line coach, offense and defensive line coach, Mr. Walter O'Mara, had to step away from coaching. So Billy came to see me, Bill Moan, a dear friend, the coach was there for 34 years, came to see me. And he goes, I know you were a fullback and a linebacker, he said, but can you coach the line? And I went, I can do whatever you need me to do, Bill. And that's where it started. I actually ran a lot of the defenses back then and all that. I became the head football coach in 2007 until last year when I elected to retire. And it was the hardest summer of my life. You got to realize something, for 33 years.
That's all you've been. That's all you're
That's all I knew. So my poor wife was very patient with me.
He's laughing.
But
She was very patient. I was there. I saw the whole thing.
very patient. And the transition hasn't been easy. A lot of people have contacted me wanting me to help and do this and do that. But Bill Moan, who I respect dearly, and that I put him in the Hall of Fame, MIA Hall of Fame, and in the Bristol Plymouth, he's the first guy to make the Bristol Plymouth Hall of Fame, the new Hall of Fame.
That's cool.
And we inducted him into that. And but he looked at me and he said, John, when you step away, you need to step away. He said it can't be a gradual thing. So very, very fortunate that my offensive coordinator and dear friend of mine, Roger Shriver, is now the head coach. And I will say that publicly. I love the guy. He's got a great football mind. He's been coaching for a long, long time. So that kind of brings us to where we're at right now.
Right. There you go.
And so I understand you're going to be retiring soon.
Yes. I haven't set my retirement date legally yet, but the ball's kind of in my court. The school is transitioning into a new, huge building. It is giant. And I built the program I'm in now. So I'm not really interested in the new building, as beautiful as it's going to be and what a marvel it is. So it's going to be probably the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's exciting.
It is. But I'm a guy that doesn't stand still, so I
Yep.
don't know what I'm going to do.
I can vouch for
Well,
that.
I can vouch for that also.
Yeah.
Well, he has a boat, so he's going to be busy.
There you
You
go.
got to have something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, you want to call in 508-222-1320. So, young lady, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Just how would you explain your coaching style?
My coaching style is I share with a lot of guys. I made the comment before that you get way more with sugar than you do with salt. And what that means, it's an old saying. What that means is I build kids up. I'm never negative towards my players. I don't think anybody benefits from that. I mean, I'm a loud guy. You could literally, when we were practicing in Taunton, probably hear me in Rainham. I am the first one to call somebody out, but a great example, if I can use an example. An example is if I grab a hold of a kid on the sidelines and pull him to me, the first words out of my mouth are, you can do better than that. You're better than that. Mm-hmm. I'll never look at an athlete or a student and go, you dope, what the heck are you doing? Mm-hmm. No. I look at them and say, you're better than that. What are we going to do now? So I would say more positive than negative.
Yeah. And then what would you change about how you played, how it was when you played high school football to now?
What would I change? I wish I was that young again. You know,
We all do.
through the years, football has evolved like everything else. It's more of an offensive sport now than it is a defensive sport. I was more of a defensive-minded guy. Even when I played the game, I loved playing linebacker. I dreaded playing fullback. I wasn't like I always wanted to do the hitting, not be the hitty. So, with that being said, the differences between back then and now, society changes, social media, COVID killed a lot of what everybody had built. So the difference now is, I wish that the coaches could handle more of the practice schedule rather than and this is nothing negative against the MIAA. They're a great organization. But I wish that they would put it back in the coaches' hands again, because the lack of, and I'm not going to say contact, but the lack of physicality in today's practices is severely limited. And you'll notice that the injury rate and everything has gone way up.
Oh, yeah.
Way up. So hopefully that answered that question.
No, it did. Thank you. What mentality do you start with getting into a game from maybe the morning time you wake up to, that 7 o'clock, 6:30 game?
That's a great question. For a guy that's been doing this as long as I've been doing it, till the last game on Thanksgiving last year, I still got butterflies. I still loved the game. I still loved it. But the mentality has to be to compete. I never had the mentality where I would bring my players in a locker room before a game and go, we got to win. Winning is everything. As a varsity coach and as a varsity program, you want to win. It's what we do. We try to win. But I always said to my players, let's compete and then do the best that you can do. I mean, that's all you can ever ask of anybody. Nobody's perfect.
All right, we are getting ready to take our first break just like that. The first couple minutes have just flown by. When we get back, we want to call in 508-222-1320. And then I also have to thank him because he had to put up with me for 10 years, and I did youth football for years, and I even forget how John and I met. But he's like, well, this is perfect. You're doing Taunton High. The Pop wanted these kids going to roll over here, so it kind of worked itself out. So I got them seasoned, and then John and the rest of the guys polished them off at the varsity level. All right, we'll be back with more as we highlight John Parris, as again he's finally stepped away from high school football. We'll be back with him and more right after this.
My junior year of college, I decided I wanted to be a truck driver.
So my uncle, he works here for like 40 plus years, and he said, choose Diesel Direct, don't go nowhere else.
Lo que me inspiró a mí fue mi hijastro cuando él se graduó con su CDF.
I was telling my stepdad and my brother, hey, this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was showing them the type of income that I was making. The equipment that we have at Diesel Direct is the best.
I aim to go in the big unit, the tractor trailer, so I'm trying to work myself up.
I never really had a career before this, but I just want to do my job well and be accepted. And I feel like a lot of people, that's all they want, right? And you definitely get that here.
Hey, welcome back. We are back with a Hava Jet from Taunton High School. I said it right, 3 times fast.
Yeah, I'm going to drill her later because I want to know a little bit more about her.
Okay.
I'm loving her already.
Right.
Just by the questions that she's asking our guests.
Right.
She's pretty well informed. I just love her voice also.
Right.
So if you can speak directly into the mic,
Right. And she's doing great. I mean, her
Yeah.
levels are perfect, and she has a good understanding. And this definitely ain't Coach Parris' first rodeo, so he has a good idea what's going on. And
So
with
you're
that-
a senior at Taunton High School? Mm-hmm. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
and she's taking the TV production class at Taunton High. That's where we
Oh,
usually
no
get them.
kidding.
Yeah, because they don't offer radio. We're the
Right,
only
right,
one,
right.
So
Right.
it worked
That's
out good.
awesome.
And did you know Maddie?
Yeah, I was just going to ask
Did you know Maddie from last year that was over there at Taunton High?
Maddie,
Maddie.
what was his last name?
Oh my God, I'm gonna
It was
butcher his
Irish.
last name.
McGee?
No, Clayman. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah,
Clayman,
yeah.
yes.
So you know,
Okay,
yeah,
so he
he's
was
His
our
brother-
intern last year.
Yeah, his brother's in broadcasting 2 classes.
he's
So
a sophomore, right?
yeah, he commentates for the football games
Oh, nice.
all the time.
Good.
Yeah,
That's good.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Get you in that box also.
yeah.
So I know you don't want to talk bad about the MIAA, but let's talk about rules, right? Well, he doesn't. He's not in the game by doing it.
No,
Yep.
He
I
loves
agree.
he loves high school football. What rule change would you like to see in place, if any? I know we talked about the rules now, as far as because I still think that they're playing national high school football rules and no longer playing,
Yeah.
NCAA. One of the big things when I was with Coach Berry
Yeah.
is when we switched over before I retired, I guess,
Yeah.
is I was worried about the play clock. And I was like, oh my God, I almost saw how much time. So I don't know if you remember seeing some of the freshman games. I'm like, run the first 3 plays. Just run the first 3 plays. We're going to catch them off guard. I want to make sure we're ready. Then after a while, you realize it didn't matter because you could still get it off.
No. The evolution of the game, and the game has evolved. A lot of people think it's de-evolved on a lot of levels. I don't think so. I think it's evolved. But as far as the rules and everything of the MIAA, their governing ordinance in this state is pretty good. They do a good job. They really do. As far as a specific rule in high school football that I wish would change, and I've already touched on it, I wish that they would kind of soften a few of the regulations as far as practice schedules,
Yeah.
and as far as when you can start practice is concerned, because we're one of the few states, believe it or not, that don't have a summer program per se. You go to Texas, you go to Ohio, you go to, and I've been there. I've been to Texas. I've been to Irving, Texas, and watched high school football and watched 30,000 people watching a football game, and because they're allowed to practice in the summertime a little bit, non-contact, but practice. We have passing leagues and stuff of that nature, but I think because of the restrictions of practice, I don't think we're getting the quality out of these kids that we could get.
Right.
As far as rules of the game, they're always going to change. They're always going to evolve, and it's evolved now, and it's making its way down to high school football. It's more of, again, I don't want to repeat myself a lot, but it's more of an offensive game than it is a defensive game.
With the RPOs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's in all sports.
Absolutely. I
All
watch
sports.
I watch the NBA now, and
Yeah.
it just floors me. Just
I
floors
agree.
me. Just floors me.
They're talking about changing the 3-point shot because
Right?
the Celtics dominated.
That's right.
Hitting those deep threes. They're talking
Yep.
about changing that later. I don't know if they're going to have. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just talk. I mean, I think it's pretty cool when someone can hit a deep three like that. That's talent.
Absolutely. But that's what you get out of your best players.
Yeah.
That takes practice. That takes mentality.
Absolutely.
That's why they practice.
All right, young lady, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Since we left off on what mentality do you start with after a tough loss, what are a few words of wisdom or just motivation you give to the players after?
The first thing I say, and it's funny when we take a knee on because that's where it starts, is after a tough loss or after a brutal a 10-point loss or a 30-point loss. They all take a knee and they gather around the coaches. I always let the assistant coaches speak first. And then I come in, and the first thing I say, I'll walk in and go, film doesn't lie. So what I need you guys to do is some self-reflection. And if you think you played as the best game that you could have played, and you watch the film, and we're all human, we make mistakes, I said, that's fine. But if you feel that you took a down off or a play off, it's a team sport. And if each person takes one down off, that's 22 downs. In most high school football games, the offensive plays are between 50 and about 65 to 70, depending on the offense and the score. So you take legitimately 1/4 of that and throw it away. So that's why, again, you got to stay positive. And I look at them and go, if you think you did the best you could do, you watch that film and you find some little mistakes, fix the mistakes, and come out and play. That's basically what I say to them after a game.
Are you able to tell the difference between players that put in the effort versus the ones that lack?
Great question. Absolutely. You can figure out the rhythm of a lot of the athletes as you watch them from the beginning of the year. You kind of get to know the kids. Some kids are great practice players, and some kids are great game players. We'll call it what it is. Over the years, I had a great team in 2009. I had a great quarterback. Evan was just ranked second in the state, just a great. He was the worst practice player I think I've ever been around. He was a clown, but you knew when it came down to it, if practice wasn't going the way it should, he was also the first one to stand up and say, okay, let's go.
Good.
So, yeah, you can tell, and I will call a kid out. I'll pull him off the field and say, hey, listen, you're better than that, man. If you're not going to give me 100% like the rest of these kids, then you can watch a lot of the game. I was never afraid to sit somebody down, and a lot of people thought of it as discipline. But as a football coach, you're teaching more about life than you are about the game of football. So in the game of life, you're not always going to succeed. You're not always going to finish first. So my dad, who was a military man, always told me, he says, you got to learn how to lose before you can learn how to win. So hopefully that answered that question.
And then just like another backtrack off that question, how do you react to when a player, reacts back to sorry, I'm wording this wrong.
It's okay.
How do you react to if a player yells at you or, raises their voice? What goes through your mind after that interaction?
That's another great question. Feelings and emotions and everything come out in battle differently than they'll come out every day, First of all, in my experience in the years that I was a coach, I also established the fact that I don't tolerate kids talking back to me. That just didn't happen, but there are a few occasions where it did get on the edge when I'd pull a kid out of a game or whatever. It depends a lot on what they say and what the subject matter is.
Yeah.
If a kid ever walked out, dropped the F-bomb and said, a few little verbs and nouns, then he knows he's not back in the game. If it's a reaction of pure adrenaline, if it's a reaction of, and then I'll look at him and go, okay, let's bring it down. You watch some of the films over the years of games, and you'll see me, like during special teams, I'll bring kids over to the bench and sit them down, and I'll take a knee right in front of them. And I'll say, okay, let's bring it back. Let's focus. But if it's negative and it's counterproductive, then I've actually had kids, I've removed their helmets and told them to go in the locker room. Because the tolerance level of that is bad. I watch a lot of games in the NFL today, and I watch the reaction of a lot of these marquee players. These kids are watching these NFL players, and it's way more predominant now than it was years ago because they think it's okay. In my opinion, and I coached at a small vocational school in Massachusetts. I don't think it has a place in the game. I don't.
I completely agree with that, and that's a shown aspect in the sport, in any sport, of respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like, as a student athlete and as an athlete myself, I feel like when when your teammates see that, it's kind of it's like I have to take my own hand in the matter, and I feel like I need to calm them down before I know the coach is going to say something to them. So, when that interaction happens, you already know what you're expecting. You already know what you're going to get out of it. So I just told you to expect it, and then you should. So I feel like that calms them down when their other teammate, goes out to them.
In the world today, there's leaders and followers.
Yeah.
And I know it's an old statement. Can you tell my mother was Irish? There are leaders and there are followers.
Hey, I had a quick question for you. So,
Yep.
the new school, right?
Yep.
How much with the new football field? And did you get any insight on that? And did they come? Hey, John, why do you think the locker room should be? And
Yeah. They talked to me about it. Because, as you know, I was the athletic director over there for
Yeah.
11 years, and they have a great athletic director now. Mark LeBeda is a great guy, doing a great job. I had some input on it, but you got to realize when you're going to spend $400 million, my input doesn't mean a whole lot. The stadium, ironically,
Yeah.
is going to be right where my shop is now.
Oh, my goodness.
So that footprint of my shop is going to be the stadium. There's actually going to be 2 stadiums at the school. There's going to be a track and field facility, and there's going to be a football facility.
what about baseball?
Baseball's going to get their own field, 2 fields,
Oh,
JV,
nice.
varsity. The layout's really nice. It's really nice.
So soccer and field hockey, do they have a separate
They'll
field?
probably use the
we
football
don't-
field, right?
Yeah, Bristol Plymouth does not have field hockey. We have girls lacrosse, but we don't have field
Oh,
hockey.
okay.
Yeah, I mean that once the school is built, see, we're in what's called a transition period right now. A lot of kids, parents don't know. Well, do we want to send them there because of the transition? And I get all that, but once the school is done and established, you're going to see a lot of that come back.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there will be I mean, soccer will play their Friday night, their Thursday night games or their Tuesday night games, I believe, on the football field because it's going to be lined for everything. But the great part is now they have a separate facility that they can practice on.
Wow.
Right.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome. With that, we are going to take our second break. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk. We are back. We are live. Big shout out to Jim Jones and the committee with Attleboro Radio, holding that spot for us, doing what he does, and I can't thank him enough for doing that. This spot could easily have went away with 4 months, but he held it for us.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. With that being said, we'll be back with Coach Parris and more right after this.
My junior year of college, I decided I wanted to be a truck driver.
So my uncle, he works here for like 40 plus years, and he said, choose Diesel Direct, don't go nowhere else.
Lo que me inspiró a mí fue mi hijastro cuando él se graduó con su CDF.
I was telling my stepdad and my brother, hey, you know, this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was showing them the type of income that I was making. The equipment that we have at Diesel Direct is the best.
I aim to go in the big unit, the tractor trailer, so I'm trying to work myself up.
I never really had a career before this, but I just want to do my job well and be accepted. And I feel like a lot of people, that's all they want, right? And you definitely get that here.
Hey, welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here in the news station. We're starting our third hour. After this break, I'll come back with some scores and stuff like that. Get everybody caught up on Thursday and Friday night ball. Today is that game's going on now. I believe, like we talked about, Taunton's probably playing right now. This is it. After this, we go to playoffs, and you have consolation games and all that. And we're going to do, not this week, but the following week, the third week, we're going to do we usually do our playoff show. We'll let everybody know who's in, who's out, which is a lot of fun, and educate people. We try to put all over social media. But if you want to call in when we get back, Well, why we? I mean, 508-222-1320. Yeah, when we get back, great job, Dom. Show will be over.
It's been 4 months. I get it.
Yeah, I'm going to use that for the rest of my life. Well, it's been, come back from that back surgery 8 years ago, and oh boy.
Hey, can I ask you a favor, Dom?
Absolutely, I'll try not.
Can I ask myself a question?
You can.
Her questions have been
I just have to.
outstanding.
I have one for you. I want to know: did Coach Sariva ever get his money for putting up with me coaching freshman football?
I believe I paid him well.
You paid him
Could
well
have involved some steak sandwiches, stuff like that.
on the boat on a Friday night.
On the boat, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's fine.
The question I want to ask myself is, Coach
Yeah.
Parris, how do you feel about the playoff alignment
That was going to be my next question.
Oh, there
in
you
high
go.
school football in the MIAA in this area? So I just asked
That's
the
fine.
question. I will stay as positive as I can. I'll start. There should have been an asterisk. I disagree with it. I disagree with it because when it comes into the playoffs, a second seed playing an eighth seed is counterproductive for everybody. In the state of Massachusetts, and people don't realize this, there's been no upsets
No.
in the first round. None.
Yeah.
And some of these teams, and I've been on both sides of it. I've been on the winning side of it. But you look at the first round scores in this playoff system, 55-10, 64-6. Somebody in the MIAA needs to explain to me how that helps athletes.
Right.
Number one, I was always, if we got up by 28, and you know the good teams, we would be up by 28. That's when I shut it off.
Right.
That's when I turned it down. Embarrassing somebody doesn't help anybody.
Nope.
Right.
And I think that this playoff, and I don't have the answer, because the old playoff system worked in this state because Thanksgiving meant something.
Right.
Now it doesn't. So they took tradition right out of the game. And maybe I'm just showing my age, and I apologize for
No,
that.
no, that's
But with that being said, they've got to come up with a solution to this problem. And then this whole consolation, who named that? Why not put brackets? Okay, you're going into brackets. Consolation? What kid on a bad football team wants to play in a consolation game?
Right. Just to get the game.
Do you know how hard it was for me to motivate these kids
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
to play? Of course, you got to travel all over heckin'
Right.
creation now, right?
And then it wasn't scheduled good. I mean, the first year we ended up playing Cohasset. Why at home? Why the heck are we playing Cohasset?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be by mail enrollment. That made no sense at all.
Yep.
But before I get to one of your next wonderful question, that falls right in line with what I'm talking about. And we all have something to say.
Oh, absolutely.
This-
Absolutely.
When you take a team like Bristol Plymouth and you just use the mail enrollment to put you in your division or your standings, it's wrong. I went up, in fact, I was on the news and everything a few years ago advocating for a vocational league, and there should be a separate league for the Catholic schools, the parochial schools, because it's apples and oranges. My kids, I coach the best kids in the world. I'll say that, preface it by saying that. But with that being said, my kids are not coming to Bristol Plymouth to play in the NFL. They're coming to Bristol Plymouth to compete in some compatible sports. Right now, if Roger is fortunate enough in the next couple of years to make the playoffs, he's higher than Abington. He literally could be playing in Division 2
Right, because of the size of the new school.
because of the size of the new school. That's wrong.
Yeah.
It's
It's
absolutely
Really agree
wrong.
with that. We had a conversation.
Oh, yeah, she
with
usually
that.
calms me down
He
when,
got hot and heavy on this subject.
Yeah,
every year.
Back in the day.
And what it does, it just there's just going to be a lot of beatings going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and again, high school football is about winning, but it's also about learning life's lessons. And again, what are you going to learn by just beating the hell out of somebody? It doesn't make any sense to me.
He's trying to get
And
my
when I
breakfast in.
retire, I am going to, just for the record, I am going to become an advocate, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to work with some people to get a voice into the MIAA because the MIAA does a great job. They're great people, very smart people, but they cater to Division I and Division II.
Yep.
That's the bottom line, and people probably don't want to hear that. But if anybody that's listening to this gets a chance to watch small high schools play football, it's quality football. It's great games. It's maybe a little different than watching the upper echelon play, but it's great football. You spend a Friday night at Southeastern Regional or a Friday night at Wareham High School or Bourne High School, and you watch some of that football, it is outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
It's outstanding. So I'm going to get off my
No,
horse
no, my blood pressure is just starting to boil.
I see the hair standing on your
When
neck
we do
there.
when we do the hockey and Dartmouth is playing like East Bridgewater, here we go again.
Yes,
And then I look at when we were in the playoffs. Last time I was when I was
Yep.
with you, we played Madison Park in Weymouth.
Yep.
Right? Was that the last time? Or you made the playoffs? Did you guys move on to the playoffs after that?
No. The Madison Park game was in the snow.
It wasn't.
I
It was
remember,
snow.
it was in
Remember
the snow.
now, what were we ranked going into that game?
We were ranked in our division.
I mean,
but
going into the playoffs.
But that was the old playoff system. That
Oh,
wasn't
that's
the new.
right. That's right. And the only reason why they beat us, and I have no and I love all the kids at BP, as he knows, we had 6 turnovers. We took ourselves out of that game by ourselves. Madison Park did not do anything. We took ourselves out of that game.
And I'll tell everybody a little secret: never tell a kicker who to kick it or not to kick it to. It's your death.
I mean, at the half, I think we might have been down. I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe been down by 2 scores. We were already thinking about how we're going to win the game.
Yeah.
At the half.
Yeah.
Right? And the little MIA trolls were walking around trying to see what he was talking to the other
Well,
coaches.
it was funny because, and we all have stories, and a lot of my stories are positive. Some of them are negative. But that night, Madison Park went into a heated school at halftime. They kept us out on the football field in the snow.
In the equipment shed where it was
tried to stick us in an
freezing.
equipment room.
No way.
It was
And gave
freezing.
me two official footballs to play with instead of the 4 I was supposed to have. So you went, and that
Oh, yeah.
that
I swear to
directly
God.
relates to the turnovers.
Wow.
I couldn't get a clean ball on the field. Now, ironically, in the second half, they allowed me to use some more of my game balls, and we only had 1 turnover in the second half.
That's right.
So I'm not. It's not a blame game. It really isn't. Madison Park, very good program, very good, great people. My God, great people. But with that being said, that is the problem with over-governing football in the state of
Absolutely.
Massachusetts.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was
That's
crazy.
Well said.
Yeah.
I remember going in the shed and John asking, so I was a freshman head coach, so I was basically his right-hand guy, make sure, so he could focus and the staff could focus. And again, then they put me up in the press box to talk to Coach McGrath to tell him blah, 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 what he saw, what his attack. His son was our quarterback, which was he was a good athlete.
Colin, yeah.
Yeah, but when you give the ball up that many times and you're still competing and you just can't finish, that's the part that killed. Again, Madison Park, good school, good guys, they were all classy.
sure.
But just like stuff like that, I'm like, why are we freezing our Kanakas off? And they're in the heated gym over at Weymouth High School.
That was to go to Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, that was going to put us in the Super Bowl.
And in the interview, again, I try to stay positive. In the interview after the football game, I had all the cameras in front of me
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that stuff, and I kind of let them have it a little bit.
But you're still
And
nice.
I wrote letters to the MIAA, and I kind of, and not my nature, just let's put it out there, but I lit that guy from the MIAA at halftime. I went, you're kidding me, right? I said, you're absolutely kidding me that I have to stay out here? You're kidding me,
At
right?
the half, they went back in the school, and we were on the other side of the end zone, outside. Wow. And John's thing was like, are we going to freeze our butt off here, or are we going to go freeze ourselves up with it, keep the extra soccer nets and the pylons and all that other stuff?
There's no room for us. We couldn't even get the whole team in there. Right. But, again, life experience.
Yeah.
The kids got to do what a lot of teams never even got to, was the game before the Super Bowl.
True.
So
That's staying positive, but
Right.
on the other hand, that's
It was
a
snowing at-
life thing.
Beginning of the kickoff, it was starting to
snowing?
down. It was starting to
That's
downpour
horrible.
with snow. It
Wow.
was flashing right in the snow.
oh, it was ugly.
And what does that do to your team? You talked about rivals, and I see it over at Case High School.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of recording over there, and Case High School and Somerset used to play each other all the time. They took away that tradition because they put them in a different division, and I'm like, really? Why?
Well,
Why?
The MIAA is geographically challenged, and I'll leave it at that. Because why are high schools that are equivalent to each other going an hour away? Like a great example is Taunton High School.
Right.
There are many great teams in the Milfords and the Franklins, and you guys play, and they play all of them, which I love the head coach of Taunton High School. I think he's a great guy. I'm just going to throw that out there. He's a great guy. But, when the playoffs and that losers round starts, they got teams traveling an hour and a half.
like all
get
the way
to a
to
game, yeah.
like
We get
last
teams
year
traveling
From the
out west.
Berkshires.
Yeah.
So not only have these teams been pooped on, but they've been pooped on very hardly. And and then nothing's perfect. And I don't want to turn this into let's beat the MIAA up, because I respect those guys and they do a great job.
We're going to do that in 2 weeks. But
But we can do that. We can do that in a couple of weeks. And listen, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. Period.
Right.
Period. All right.
I just think, in a nutshell, well, I'll get back to that, but we're going to take our last break. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk. Head football coach, actually ex-head football coach, my good friend John Parris, he's here as we run down his 20-plus years, if not more, teaching and, of course, doing a great job with the football program over there at Bristol Plymouth. We'll be back with him and more right after this.
My junior year of college, I decided I wanted to be a truck driver.
So my uncle, he works here for like 40 plus years, and he said, choose Diesel Direct, don't go nowhere else.
Lo que me inspiró a mí fue mi hijastro cuando él se graduó con su CDE.
I was telling my stepdad and my brother, hey, this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was showing them the type of income that I was making. The equipment that we have at Diesel Direct is the best.
I need to go in the big unit, the tractor trailer, so I'm trying to work myself up.
I never really had a career before this, but I just want to do my job well and be accepted. And I feel like a lot of people, that's all they want, right? And you definitely get that here.
Welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA. We're going to get back to our interview with Coach Parris, but first we're going to run down the scores from Thursday and Friday night football as we fire up the music. Make sure I got it right. That's the wrong one, so we'll go back to this one. That's close enough. All right, in high school football, Thursday night, here are your results. Martha's Vineyard beats St. John's Paul II 27-6. Westwood beats Ashland 35-14. Friday night scores. Norwell, the Clippers, they hand it to East Bridgewater 42-0. Wellesley beats Weymouth 35-13. St. John's Prep, they beat BC High 28-0. Braintree loses to Newton North 28-14. Bishop Stang beats Cardinal Spellman 23-14. Bridgewater Raynham, they beat Shrewsbury 20-13. Carver in a nail biter, they sneak one by Mashpee 29-28. Continuing on, Mansfield beats Canton 43-32. Plymouth South beats Pembroke 49-21. Oliver Rims beats Stoughton 21-7. Abington beats Middleborough 42-7. North Quincy loses to Hanover, 42-7. In overtime, Cathedral beats Archbishop Williams 36-30. Plymouth North over Silver Lake 20-14. Duxbury over Hingham 31-14. Marshfield over Whitman Hanson 39-7. Brockton, in their conference game, they beat Durfee 28-21. Sandwich over Rockland 42-6. Diamond Regional, they beat South Shore Tech 23-2. Guys, I'm going to hold that because we just went to another commercial. Oh, that soundbite was terrible. I'm sorry. Sandwich over Rockland 42-6. Diamond again over South Shore Vogue Tech 23-16. Randolph over Cohasset 29-26. Situate, they improved to 8-0 with a 42-7 win over Quincy. Hull over Lowell Catholic 21-20. Old Colony beats BP 30-6. Wachusett Regional, they beat Walpole 38-13. Dartmouth over New Bedford 43-6. Finishing up with Friday night scores, Fairhaven over Case 42-0. Blue Hills over Southeastern 38-8. Franklin over Milford 28-26. Bishop Fiend, they beat St. Mary's 13-0. Natick over Milton 31-0. Somerset Berkeley beats Apponequet 35-20. Norton over Millis 35-6. Medway over Dover Sherborne 21-6. And another 8-0 team, King Philip Regional beats Attleboro 35-7. Finishing up, Catholic Memorial over Malden Catholic 40-0. Bellingham over Medfield 35-6. And Severian Brothers, they beat up on St. John's of Shrewsbury 56-13. Whew, and I should have brought some water with me. But I know you want to go. If you want to go right into your question, young lady, that'd be great.
Okay. In this generation, how would you put the opinion? Do you think this day of players are not soft, but more as in not as has aggression as any other body would be?
I'm going to tell you, there's great questions. I love these questions. They're awesome because it makes people think, number one. Number two, I think society dictates everything. COVID was crushing. COVID, regardless of what side of the fence you were on with that or anything, I don't get involved in any of that. But it basically made a lot of high school football programs and other sports, it knocked them back 10 years. Social media, I believe, is one of the most negative things out there as far as sports are concerned. The number one question I get as a teacher and as a football coach is, Coach, have kids changed? My answer to that is I think society has changed them. I think kids are always going to be kids. I'm a little concerned about, energy drinks. I'm a little concerned about obesity. I'm a little concerned about the lack of kids moving and running and playing and doing what they need to do. But with that being said, I don't think they've gotten softer. I think society in general has changed the way athletes perform. And I think what needs to happen is I think a lot of parents need to step back. Mm-hmm. And they need to say, I want my child to play to his or her ability without getting so incessantly involved in that. In my experience as a head coach, the first thing I did was put all my parents on the hill. Remember Dom, the hill near the gym? Yeah. And I would put them all on the hill. It was a mandatory meeting. And they no longer allow us to do this, just for the record. And I would say, listen, I love all you being involved in your kids' lives. I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you think enough of me to let me mentor your kids. But with that being said, I will talk to you about the weather. I'll talk to you about current affairs. But don't ever ask me why your kid's not playing. Right. That's my job. That's not your job. And in today's society, we've lost that. Mm-hmm. We've lost it. The parents look at the amount of football coaches in the state that have been removed because of the parents. Mm-hmm. if I go into a parent's job and start dictating to them what they should do you think they'd have a problem with that?
No, but not to defend anything like that, but a lot of those guys, well, the worst guys,
Yeah.
they open their mouth and they say the wrong thing. That's how they get
Yes.
themselves in trouble. But
Yeah.
to John's point, you get guys that, why isn't my kid playing? Why isn't my kid on the field?
They attacked my wife. My God, they were brutal to her. They wouldn't come near me.
Oh, yeah.
But I always said the athlete, whether it be male, female, or whatever, has to ask the right question. And the right question is, what can I do to get better so I can play?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You ask that question, now I'll sit down with the athlete. I will.
I can vouch for that.
I can do. I can do.
I can vouch for that. Well, I was always, again, being the freshman coach during the game, once my season was over, well, even the beginning of the season, go run the station, go do that. What do you want me? And I'm like, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be part of high school football.
That was a great question. Again, good job.
And she did it on the fly. I mean, I asked her, I said, do you have any questions for Coach Parris? She said, well, I haven't had a chance. And she did this all off the cuff. That's someone who loves sports right there.
That's right.
Right? I mean, just...
She's well on her way. I
oh,
like
my
this
God,
one,
yeah.
Dom.
So I already told her, I said, when she becomes famous, don't forget the little people.
That started your career, yes.
Right, and she'll be in the alumni page with all the other ones.
Oh,
We
yeah.
may,
You
we
and
may
everybody
knock
else.
on her mansion door and,
right,
and ask for
Her autograph and some
goldfish
advice.
or something.
Yeah, right. I'll knock on the door. You here to do my lawn?
I feel like it's so much more, not easier, but it's like, now that I'm in this, it's like I get to ask the questions I've always been like thinking, and it's like now I can actually get a real answer. Like it's like obviously not one-on-one, but it's like these are the questions I'm asking you in person. I don't have to try to find it out from someone else, because it's not the real answer unless you get it from exactly that person.
Right, and that's the
what
mindset
this
you have
is all
to take.
about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Excellent.
what this is all about.
Yeah.
Like when we get the kids in there, the biggest thing about that is which kid's going to talk over the other kid.
Right.
Right. And then with the new coaches, they're kind of nervous because they kind of know us, but they don't know us. They might have done some research. And then you asking them those questions out there, and maybe if we get someone else from another intern from another high school, that gives them a chance for you to work and interacting like you're in the big world.
Yeah. Yep.
Like a regular job. And then gives him, like Coach Parrish, for example, a chance to, okay, this is what they're going to ask me. Blah, blah, blah. He knows I'm going to wing it somehow and goof it up somehow. So he's already expecting it.
But that's our job.
Exactly. But if you want to call him before we get off the air, big shout out to Jim Jones again for letting us hold this spot for us. It's awesome that he's doing it. And Catherine Conley, like you said, she's doing all the social media. Anything you see on the Facebook, TikTok page, or Twitter page, that's all her. She does a great job.
And because of family issues and other things she's dealing with, it's hard for her to get down to the studio. So shout out to her. I hope she'll be calling in soon, and would love to hear her voice. So Casey,
Yeah, it would be
if
nice
you're
to
out
hear her
there,
voice.
we'd love to hear from you.
And that's something you could ask as far as pointers or
Absolutely.
something like that. She'll just say, well, Dominic will mess up the English language anyway, so everything else is golden. But I know. But it was funny when we were talking about the MIAA, and my blood pressure just started
I could
going.
see it.
Oh my God! I just and not to piggyback what he said, but he kind of knew what I said, because I must have, in passing, coach, and I must have said it 8 zillion times, and he already knew what he thought. It's not scripted. It's the way they do it. You know what it reminds me of? And I'll beat on this one last time. It's almost like somebody complains enough, and because they have I don't want to say they have a friend or a colleague, or they have the ear of that person in the MIAA. Oh, that's a great idea. Why don't we start a playoff system? And then the other ones was just put them in a constellation thing, and they can play each other. So why is BP playing Cohasset?
Well, you realize the premise of that was they took it from another state.
Yes.
They took it from Texas.
Yeah. But like you said, how many times you look on ESPN, you see the Summer League, these big Texas teams, these big Texas high school teams playing each other.
Yeah.
And like John mentioned, we don't have that up here.
No. And it's hot out there.
And you're lucky if you get a passing league together just to get your athletes, not just your linemen, in some type of sync. But you will play Division Ones. We went to we were at Oliver Ames, I think. Was it Oliver Ames? I forget. And we were playing Brockton High. They were playing, but it was their secondary. But they were just like us. They were in their street clothes. We were just running an offense. You had so much time to get rid of the ball and stuff like. And that's good. But you don't have what you have, like John said. You don't have what they have down here in those other states. And until they get that remedied or fixed or something and get some better structure, maybe that's the word I'm thinking of.
It's a great word.
It took me a while. It only took me 58 minutes to think of the word.
It's okay.
But before we get going, John, I don't know if you want to do any more shout-outs. I know you thanked a lot of people before we get off the air. It was great to see you. I know I'll see you because I got to get my car fixed anyway.
What I have to say is it was a great experience, and this young lady from Taunton High School, very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Very impressive. Great questions and meeting everybody, and I'd love to come back on again.
You know what? How about we do this? How about we set you up as a high school football analyst so you get a chance to do some homework and get reacquainted with some of these teams, and we could do something when the playoffs schedule starts, maybe near the end with the Super Bowl.
Absolutely love to.
And you can give us your take on the homework you did and what you found, and we can.
And the one thing, it'll be honest. It'll be honest. You know what I mean? I don't judge people. I'm not like that. I'll give you my opinion.
Sounds like a great retirement job.
That's what we do.
It?
That's what we do.
Yep.
Right. You know what I mean? Now we can add him to Mark Vasconcelos from the Enterprise.
Yeah,
You
there
know what
you
I
go.
mean? And we'll talk about the basketball thing too. We do a basketball ceremony, but I haven't really told you about that. But
that's a lot of fun.
That's a lot of fun too.
Coach that too.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I saw that. He was actually out and then got asked to go back into it.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
That was
goodness.
Great guy. Yeah.
All right.
Well, Ahava, you've done a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
First time
Did you say your
on
first name,
air.
Ahava?
Yes.
Ahava.
Ahava. I keep on missing
Jet.
Ahava Jet. So did you
Yeah.
have fun?
Yes, I
Good.
really did.
Good. That
Thank
means she'll be
you.
back. For Ahava Jet, Luce Cabral, again, Catherine Conley, I'm Dominic Damiano. We hope you enjoyed this interview. We had the distinct privilege of interviewing my good friend John Parris, finally stepping away from high school football. And I don't have a soundtrack ready to go, so we're going to have to cue it all the way for the last 10 seconds. Again, a big thank you to Jim Jones helping out, again, holding that spot. To him, it's nothing, but to me, it means a lot because I really love doing this. Mm-hmm. We will catch you next time. Everyone have a fantastic weekend.
4 Deep Sports Talk would like to thank its supporters, including PTU Clinic. Find out more about Bridgewater and Buzzards Bay's newest physical therapy clinic and what they have to offer at ptuclinic.com. Adria Restaurant and Banquet Facility located at 436 Oak Street in East Bridgewater. Visit adriarestaurant.net for more. Diesel Direct, your reliable source for fuel delivery. Log on to dieseldirect.com to get more information. And by the New England Knockouts, Brockton's brand new Frontier League baseball team. Get your tickets for the inaugural season today at knockoutsbaseball.com.
This has been a presentation of 4 Deep Sports Talk, where high school and youth athletics come first.